It's a beautiful day today and we're back reading some more Entitled Parents. Once again, it felt like an entitled parent sort of day today. And I know every single day we've been reading about entitled people, which by the way, if there's something else that you guys want me to read, let me know down below. But yeah, I woke up today ready for stuff like this and I hope you guys are excited. Thank you for all your support and let's get straight into it. Enjoy, guys. Entitled Mum is mad that I intend to convert the guest room into my office after the birth of my second kid. I'm currently 21 weeks pregnant with my second baby. Both my husband and I work from home full time. We recently decided that my current office will be a great room for the nursery for the new baby. We started packing up and moving stuff around in preparation. My mum is currently visiting from out of the country and staying with us. She saw what we were doing and commented, "So you and your hubby are gonna both squeeze into his small office?" I told her that's not the case. I intended to convert the guest room into my office once the second kid is old enough to attend daycare or preschool at around 18 months, but we're going to put a sofa bed in there or have some Japanese futon, so in case that we do have guests, they'll have a place to sleep and chill out in after I get off work. Interestingly, I've told her that plan in the past over video chat and she thought it was a good idea back then. She claimed to have no recollection of that conversation even happening and immediately proceeded to get passive aggressive with me, saying, "Okay, fine, I won't visit again then." I had to remind her that it's not happening until at least 2 years from now, and there will still be space for her to come and stay when she does come to visit. Besides, when my husband and I are working during the day, we hardly spend any time in the living room or family room. She has access to all of those spaces. She essentially sees our current guest room as her room and expects us to keep it that way for the foreseeable future, for the few days out of the year that she comes and visits us. Besides that, it'll just be a vacant bedroom that no one spends any time in. Yeah, they can't be upset about this. How ridiculous! She complained to my dad, who actually confirmed that I have indeed spoken to them about my plan. So now she's also embarrassed at getting called out for opposing to what she had said in the past. She felt like she was entitled to that room in my house, even though she spends only around 1 month total out of the year visiting us. She's been giving me the silent treatment since the argument, and whenever I try to talk to her, she'd answer with a ton of attitude and pretty much told me to F off. Both my husband and I find her reaction ridiculous, and we're not ready to coddle up to her unreasonable demand just to keep her happy. Yeah, that's right, and they should be apologizing to you for this. It's your bloody house. They're not entitled to any room in the house. They're lucky that you let them stay. That's so annoying because it is so ridiculous. And the fact that they think they're in the right is hilarious. I can't believe they're upset at you. Like, this is not their decision. Yeah, unbelievable. The next one says, "Well, I finally had my first entitled parent experience in the mall parking lot. I had my first encounter with an entitled mother today. Off to the mall for a pair of winter shoes so I don't slush my dang socks. Lucky me, a spot really close to the entrance is open. As I'm creeping up to the spot, there's a woman with a baby strapped to her chest and someone I assume is a sister or a friend or whatever walking up the laneway. They look like they were just going into the mall, but then they stood in the spot I was trying to pull into. Sensational. I waved, they ignored me. I tapped my horn and they waved me off saying that they're saving the spot for their friend. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear birds in the background, guys. I've got my window open. I pretty much told them that that isn't how a parking lot works and that I'm not moving. Entitled mum then looks at me and starts going on about how she has a baby and that she should get to park closer to the mall because of her baby. I roll. I tell her I don't bloody care about her baby. Back and forth with her insisting that she won't move, and for some dumb reason starts going on about, "I dare you to hit me." Like, dude, I'm not insane. And you were just going on about your baby. Since you wouldn't move, I just laid on the horn until this big red truck that had a guy they were with started to come up behind me. Lo and behold, there was an open space literally only 2 spaces down that the red truck pulled into. Meanwhile, the mum and the other woman she was with do walk out of the space, calling me every name in the book. Biatch, a C-word, you know what. How they can't believe I made a new mother move. Honestly, it felt like a YouTube rage bait video. I'm staying by my car because I genuinely don't trust crazy people not to do crazy things to my car. The guy who was driving their truck just looked down at his phone while the women told me off for endangering their baby as they all walked past to go inside. Honestly, I like to think that he was embarrassed. I don't know what makes people think that 1, I care about your kids, and 2, that you can stand in parking spaces to claim dibs. Yeah, like the top comment says, "Wow, she must really care about her baby if she's willing to risk injury or death to spite a stranger." Yeah, that's right. It doesn't even make sense with what they're saying. And also, how does the parking space even make a difference to them? And it especially doesn't bother their child. And also, they said they had their baby strapped to their chest. So how does the position of the car even matter? It doesn't, does it? Like, not only am I going to be super entitled and frustrating, I'm also going to make sure that it doesn't doesn't make any sense. The next one says, parents always dump their kids with me at family events. Me, Sarah F, or female, others, family members. It seems that quite a few people have similar stories here as mine, and how I handled it. I was probably a bit of an a-hole at the end of it all. I never wanted to be a babysitter, but somehow that's what I always ended up being at every family gathering. It didn't matter if I barely knew the kids or their parents, they'd always find a way to dump them on me and disappear. It started when I was 14 and continued until I was in my 30s. I'd moved away from my extended family when I was 5, so I didn't see them very often. But whenever there was a birthday, a wedding, or a holiday, they would invite me and my parents to join them, and that's when the trouble began. The first time it happened, I was sitting at a table with my cousin and his wife, who just had a baby. They seemed nice enough, but as soon as they finished their food, they handed me the baby and said they were going to get some drinks. They didn't even ask me if I wanted to hold him or if I knew how to take care of him. They just assumed I'd be happy to do it. Oh my god, that's infuriating. I wasn't. I'd never held a baby before and I had no idea what to do with him. He was tiny and fragile and he smelled like milk and diapers. He started crying after a few minutes and I panicked. I tried to rock him, to sing to him, to make funny faces at him. Nothing worked. He only cried louder and louder, attracting the attention of everyone in the room. I looked around for his parents, hoping they would come back and rescue me, but they were nowhere to be seen. They'd left me alone with their child without a word of explanation or an apology. I felt angry and betrayed. How could they do this to me? This happened many times over the years until I'd had enough. The last time it happened, when I was now in my 30s, at a party with my husband's family, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Once again, parents came over to introduce themselves and they left their baby with me, even though I clearly told them I was uncomfortable with doing so, but it would only be for a minute. Is somebody telling them that they're allowed to do this or something? Why do they feel like they can do this? What's wrong with people? 10 minutes pass, 30 minutes pass. As the hour mark approaches and the baby is getting very fussy, I got up from the table, carrying the baby with me, and I walked towards the bar where I'd last seen them. I pushed my way through the crowd of people, ignoring their stares and comments. I finally spotted them, laughing and chatting with some other relatives with their glasses of wine in hand. They looked relaxed and happy, oblivious to my plight. I marched up to them and I thrust the baby into their arms. Here, I said, take your kid back. They looked at me with surprise and annoyance. What's wrong? My sister-in-law asked. What's wrong? I repeated incredulously. You left me with your baby for an hour without even asking me or telling me where you were going. You expected me to babysit him while you had fun? That's what's wrong. They exchanged shocked glances. We're sorry, her husband said. We just wanted to catch up with everyone. We didn't think you'd mind. Yeah, but you also didn't even care to ask. Well, I do mind, I said firmly. I'm not your babysitter. I'm your bloody sister-in-law. And I came here to enjoy myself, not to look after your kid. They mumbled some more apologies and excuses, but I didn't listen. I turned around and I walked away from them, feeling proud of myself for standing up to them. I thought that'd be the end of it, but it wasn't. The next time I saw them, they had another baby, and they tried to do the same thing again. What? This is awful. And so did other relatives who had kids. In multiple occasions, it became a pattern. Every time there was a family event, someone would dump their kid on me and disappear. It didn't matter if they were my aunties, uncles, cousins, or in-laws. They all seemed to think that because I was an only child, and because I don't have kids of my own, that I would love to play nanny for them. They were wrong. I hated it. I hated being treated like a free service. I hated being ignored and taken for granted. I hated being stuck with kids who were nosy, messy, demanding, and sometimes rude. I hated missing out on the fun and the conversations that everyone else was having. I hated feeling like an outsider in my own family, so I stopped going. I stopped accepting their invitations. They didn't seem to notice or care either. They never even asked why I stopped coming. They never even apologized for what they did, and they never tried to make it up to me. They just moved on with their lives without me in family parties or events, and so did I. Edit. It sounded in the original post that I stopped seeing family altogether. I still see them, just never in a party or family gathering situation, and they're acting like nothing ever happened and life goes on. I love hanging out with the family outside of the party or gathering situations, and to be fair, the kids are great fun to be around as long as I'm not expected to babysit them, which I never once said that I was okay with at any point. At the end of the day, we're all still family, and I think they got the message that I'm not their babysitter. They do now treat me with respect when I see them on the rare occasion for a visit, and maybe by standing up for myself to people I care about and love was that reason. I feel like the way you handled this was perfect. Like you weren't unnecessarily rude in any way, even though you bloody had the right to be rude. They sure as hell didn't care about being rude. But yeah, good on you for standing up for yourself, and at least it has a bit of a happy ending. It's so infuriating that they feel like they could even do this though. Like, oh, here you go, babysit for me. I'm not even gonna ask you if you want to. Imagine having the audacity to do that. But yeah, I think you handled this well, and I think you did a good job not to get even more angry. The next one is called Entitled Mum Wants to Pay Me $3.07 an hour to watch her kids. Basically what what the title says? An entitled mum reached out to me asking if I could watch her kids for 13 hours a week for $40. She wants me to 1. Watch 2 kids under 5, 2. Cook them meals, and 3. Clean her home. Right, so multiple jobs in one. My usual rate for a job like that would be 15 to 20 an hour, given my experience and skills and qualifications, and what the job is asking for. When I told her my rate, she cussed me out and told me it would be a privilege to watch her kids, and that I should just take the job since I obviously needed the money. Oh my god, I'm hoping that's not real. It's a privilege to watch your kids? Have you lost your mind? No, it isn't. They're so entitled that they have a completely skewed perspective of reality. Like, oh, the entire universe revolves around me, doesn't it? I don't understand how somebody can say, oh, it's a privilege to watch my kids, with a straight face, like they're serious when they say that. That's hilarious. The next one is called Entitled Mum Changes and Breastfeeds Her Baby in Our Private Office. Hi folks, this is a repost of something I experienced today. I currently work in a private office building of a very busy public attraction. The building is newly renovated and we don't have much signage, but it is pretty clear that it's an office space since you can see our offices through the ground floor window. One of our doors backs onto the area of the attraction and is usually unlocked as staff come and go frequently. My co-worker came back from their break and informed me that there was a random woman changing a dirty diaper in the stairwell. She was told to go to the correct changing facilities nearby, which is legitimately around the corner. Another co-worker then informed me that the woman did not leave and had also started breastfeeding her child in the same place. She was then told to leave in a more harsh way. This place has loads of available changing areas for babies, and many of them are near the building. Her excuse for her behavior was the baby was crying. Like, why would you bring a crying baby into an office building? She definitely knew that it wasn't a public area. Edit, there are plenty of feeding and changing facilities for parents at this attraction. I don't have any opinions against breastfeeding, and I think people are entitled to breastfeed wherever. It's the fact that she chose to stay in a place that she was told to leave multiple times that's the main issue. Definitely, especially when there are places around really close that they can use, but they're choosing not to. Yeah, 100%, that's the bad part. Like, hey, everything's okay, but this is a private office building. Yeah, it's less about what they were doing and that they're just not allowed to be there. I was gonna say, unless they're super hard to find, like the place they're supposed to be doing this, but it says in the comments the correct facilities are a minute walk away and signposted very publicly, including across the entrance. The next one says, my mum always steals food from me. My family and I are all eating a hamburger. She comes to my seat and asks me for a piece, even though there are ingredients in the kitchen or on the table to make another one, and I can make one for her without any issues. We're eating a pizza, same thing. She always takes some from me. Are we eating the exact same thing? She always takes some from me. Just earlier it happened again and I replied, there's another slice of bread in the kitchen. Why do you have to take it from my plate without asking? She says to me, it's to be nice to your mum. And I say to her, but it's a matter of principle. It's annoying that you always have to take food from me. It's enough, don't you think? And she remains silent. What do you think? Yeah, like the top comment says, yeah, it's not about the food, just a power move. You're doing the right thing. Yeah, it really does seem like that. And yeah, that would be very frustrating. The next one says, entitled mum brings her 4 kids to an adult-only wedding. I attended an adult-only wedding for a co-worker a few days ago. The actual ceremony was in a very small church, so it was mostly family and close friends. The reception was at a very elegant hotel ballroom, not child-friendly in any way, crystal stemware, expensive linens on the table, etc. Also, sorry, but I don't know if we've read this one before. It didn't sound familiar, but we've read so many stories that I don't really know, so hopefully not. About half an hour into the reception, a commotion started that made everybody stare. Entitled mum is arguing with the wedding planner loudly. Me being nosy that I am, I inched closer to hear. Turns out that entitled mum brought her 4 young children to the reception. Even though invitations clearly stated adults only, the entitled mum insisted that her kids, I'm guessing at ages, but the oldest one looked 8-ish, and the youngest was under a year old, insisted that they were super well behaved, so it was fine. Now keep in mind, this was around 7:30 p.m. The wedding planner was having none of it. She insisted that children were not allowed and she had to leave. In a last-ditch effort to get admitted, entitled mum shouted at the bride. The bride went over and listened to her for a moment and then said in a syrupy sweet voice, of course you can come in, but your children can't. She turned on her heel and went back to her new husband. Entitled mum flipped a nut, yelling about how she was invited, couldn't find a babysitter, etc. 3 of the groomsmen escorted her and her kids to the door. Oh my god, and good on them too. For kicking them out, I mean. Like, yeah, no kids, okay? And like they said, they already caused a commotion. I'm so glad that they were like, no, you're not gonna ruin this, okay? You've got to get out of here. And that's so fair enough. The next one says, Karen secretly films me jogging and shows the video to my boss. I recently had an appendectomy and recovery has been slow. I had to take time off from my own athletics, but worse, from coaching in the kids' sports program that I'm involved with. The experience made me step back and realize that I really built my whole identity around being active and healthy. So the hit that my physical abilities took as a result of being sick, plus the healing process, has made me feel lost. I've been working to regain the joy I used to experience from exercise without going, oh, you used to be so much faster with that, or your technique used to be so much stronger, or you don't fit in anymore, or whatever else, and just enjoy myself regardless of the level I'm at. But ironically, the anxiety about not being able to do what I used to has made regaining those abilities difficult. It made me self-conscious about exercising in public spaces, but I was starting to finally get over it as friends convinced me the source of the concerns were all in my head. There's no way to get back to it other than training, so despite the anxiety, I started running again. As soon as the doctors approved it, I went to the local track and just did a few slow laps each morning, building up speed every few days, and I've only just been authorized to add some sprints and bodyweight strength training into the mix. Occasionally there were other people at the track, but I didn't really notice because I run with headphones on and I try to zone out in these lighter sessions. But little did I know my friends were wrong. It was not all in my head. I was being watched, and more than that, I was being judged. My absolute catastrophe level worst nightmare at this stage of building back my strength and speed. On Friday, I was setting up for practice at the kids program, and the head coach asked me into his office because a parent had a complaint. A parent that I didn't know too well. Karen was there, and he said that she had specific complaints about me. The meeting almost didn't happen because of Karen's initial refusal to put on a mask, required in our facilities at the moment, but eventually her desire to tell on me for whatever she thought she had me on overrode her freedoms to infect everyone. I was a bit nervous, as anyone is being called to meet their boss over a complaint, but I figured that it was a classic case of my kid should start more, or I know my kid tried out as a midfielder, but I want him or her to switch to defense. That kind of rules don't apply to me thing. But instead, I sit down in my office and Karen is playing my boss a video of me running on the track that she filmed from afar. It's surrounded by stadium-style risers. I was horrified, both because no one is ever totally used to seeing themselves on video, and because I was just embarrassed about how slow I was. But most importantly, because why was a virtual stranger, I'd met her personally maybe 4 times ever, filming me while I ran on my own time at a private facility. She then went on to explain that her 8-year-old son, one of the players on my squad, was lapping me in the video and insisting the coaches need to hold themselves to a higher athletic standard than the young players if they want to prepare them for college teams. Again, her son is 8. Wow, this is so bad. Apparently her son would sometimes be running on the track while her older child was practicing on a nearby field. I never noticed. The kid is still relatively new, and I don't pay much attention to the other people on the track. My boss patiently but firmly explained to Karen that my physical abilities are not the parents' concern, and all personnel are closely managed by the head coaches who understand each unique situation and what's appropriate, and that her son would not be impacted. Karen then went on to say that me being out of shape was probably connected to why I'd been taking so much time off lately. Oh, well, technically, yeah. It is because I was in the hospital, and complaining that the personnel changeover isn't good for the kids. My boss again reiterated that the head coaches hadn't changed or taken any time off, and that I was still one of the most skilled in the area that I instruct, so this was not her concern. She asked if there was someone else that she could speak to, but he explained that he was the owner and founder of this program, so no, there was not. I knew that my boss was intentionally avoiding saying what had happened to me, or even alluding to a health issue to protect my privacy, but I figured that maybe being transparent with her would show her how ridiculous she was being, and keep her tuition dollars in our program during a difficult time. But when I explained, she just turned to the boss and said, well, maybe you should furlough her until she's healed and bring on a healthy coach in the meantime, because my son needs someone out there who can keep up with him. My boss respected what I was trying to do, but made clear that we weren't going any further with that strategy to avoid setting a precedent of sharing coaches' personal circumstances, telling her that why people take time off or what their health status may be is not her concern, because the program manages that and makes appropriate decisions. She kept kicking up a fuss, but the coach finally told her that he had to get back out on the field, back to her son and everyone else's kids. She started physically leaving, but continued fussing about how she wasn't satisfied and would not be recommending us to other parents. The coach wasn't preparing to leave. Instead, he stopped her in her tracks to tell her if she was found to be surveilling or otherwise harassing any staff members again, she would be perma-banned from the program. No games or practices, no team social events, no presence in our buildings, and no clemency. So yeah, that was pretty satisfying. Her son is a good average kid, and I'm glad the consequences were focused on booting her out rather than limiting his opportunities to have fun playing. So then we went out and had a great, happy, safe practice. This was still a pretty upsetting event for me personally though, and I'll never unsee that discouraging video of me running. It was ultimately reassuring to know that the other staff have my back. Leaving Karen in the dust is just another step on my road to recovery. Edit, reading comments between breaks from schoolwork, but the outpouring of support has meant so much. Thank you all. You're being so optimistic, but yeah, that's so frustrating. The fact that somebody feels like they can do stuff like this is infuriating, but yeah, you're right. At least your boss had your back. Still though, that's awful. The next one says, I'm not OP. I pulled this from Am I the A-hole? Am I the A-hole for confronting a neighbor who was rude to my son at trick or treat because of a rule I'd never heard of? I, 27 female, took my 4-year-old son trick or treating on Halloween, as normal parents do. He was so adorable in his costume and his joy was infectious. We went along house after house, a lot of smiles, exclamations of how cute he was, and of course, loads of candy. Then we came to one house. We rang the bell. Initially there was no answer, but I could see there were lights on in the house, so clearly people were home. Also, I heard shuffling behind the door. Clearly they were looking through the peephole to see who was there. I rang again, and then after 2 more minutes I rang a third time, and the woman opened the door with a nasty look, and before my son could even say trick or treat, she pointed to her porch light and rudely said, "Porch light off means don't ring here," and started to close the door. The look on my little boy's face was so heartbreaking. I could not let that nastiness slide. Oh my god, you're the entitled parent. I was reading this thinking that they were talking about entitled parents, but no, you're the entitled parent. Stop bloody ringing the door. They don't want to do this. The look on my little boy's face was so heartbreaking. I could not let that nastiness slide. Plus, I'd never heard of such a rule, and I told her so, and asked her how she could break a little boy's heart like that. She repeated the rule and said that she didn't have any candy anyway, and to please leave her alone. I asked what kind of idiot doesn't make sure to have some bare minimum candy around on October 31st, like use a damn calendar. She said not everyone wants to be a part of Halloween and slammed the door in my face. I comforted my poor son, explained that some people are just terrible Grinches, and we moved on to a few more houses, but the night was ruined. It got worse. I got back home and I saw my phone had insane notifications. Apparently this woman had recorded the whole interaction on her door camera and posted it to the local neighborhood Facebook group. Anyway, the backlash was so bad I had to leave the group. I'm still getting horrible DMs. Apparently the porch light rule is real. It's a way to signal that you're opting out of Halloween. Who the hell wants to opt out of Halloween? Oh my god, so many people. What do you mean? Even my husband won't back me up. He knew the rule, and while he's sympathetic to the social media abuse I'm getting, he said it was stupid of me to engage when she clearly didn't want to participate. I'm upset that he thinks I should have let rudeness against our little boy slide. Am I the a-hole for confronting this rude woman? Okay, so I don't feel like this is real, because how can this be real? It's so frustrating that they think the other person is rude. Meanwhile, they're repeatedly ringing their doorbell, what they say, like 3 or 4 times or something, and thinking that every single person is going to be interested in this. Yeah, the other person isn't rude. You're being entitled and you're at their house bothering them. They don't have to do anything. And yeah, hopefully that's not real, and I feel like that's enough for today. It's about time we read something wholesome. My grandpa never got his high school diploma because he was drafted in World War II in his senior year. He finally got it today. Oh, that's so beautiful. Is that real? That's so awesome. Congratulations, my defibrillator toaster. My mum would be so annoyed. Every morning I'd run into the kitchen screaming, "We're losing them! Beep, beep, beep! Don't you die on me, damn it! Nurse, we need 12 cc's of cream cheese, stat! He's bread, Jim. Time of deliciousness, 7:15 a.m. If we don't restart his heart, he's toast! Jesus Christ, jam it! Daddy's in a butter place now, kids." Oh, that's so cute. Every single morning ever. That's so funny. It's self-love o'clock. You best be knowing how loved and important you are. Oh, cute little felt ducky with a knife. Very cute, but also menacing. And once again, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did, and you want to see more Entitled Parents episodes, make sure you like and subscribe. And also, if there's something you want me to read that I haven't read yet, make sure you let me know down below. And the comment of the day today goes to Snorlax Gender. Cook yourself a nice meal. Laughing my ass off. Okay, Nonna. That's so funny. I don't even know why I said that. I always tell you guys to look after yourself. And when I think about looking after yourself, what comes to mind is cooking yourself a nice meal. So that's what I was trying to say. Cook yourself something you find delicious. And make sure you look after yourself. That's so funny. I'm like a Reddit reading grandma or something. Thank you for that comment. And thank you all for watching. It means so much to me. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed the episodes. And guess what? There's going to be more tomorrow. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!